Coming up, the results of that unusual mail-in streetcar election are in, and they are approved. Now what? The bi-state business border battle continues, but even without a state line, we'll look at how neighboring cities are hurting each other in their quest to lure projects. Also this week, why this world heavyweight boxer is repeatedly making our local headlines, and Medicaid expansion, why promises of billions of dollars in federal cash to help hundreds of thousands of families in our bi-state area get health care still leave Kansas and Missouri lawmakers adamant about saying no. Welcome everyone, I'm Nick Haynes. It's good to be back with you on the program that goes beyond the soundbite and takes you behind the headlines making news in Kansas City. To dissect those stories with us is Steve Kraske, the Star's chief political correspondent and the host of Up to Date on KCUR-FM. Bill Grady, who whisks around the city covering all the Metro's most important news for KMBZ News Radio 98.1 FM. The Kansas City Star's City Hall reporter Lynn Horsley is with us, and Star reporter, columnist and blogger Dave Helling. It is official, Kansas City will have a modern downtown streetcar line that its backers believe will be a game changer for the city. Results of an unusual mail-in election are tallied up this week, and voters approve a 1-cent sales tax hike that greenlights the 2-mile streetcar. In a separate vote, they approve property tax increases that will help fund the $100 million transit project.
Well, it should help the renaissance of Kansas City, period. The first leg will certainly have an impact on downtown, but the object isn't just to help downtown. The object is to be able to ultimately connect up through varying and altering routes this entire city, so that people who don't have cars on the east side can get to places where there are jobs, so that people who don't have cars out south can get to places where there are jobs.
That video from NBC Action News. Lynn, what do these numbers actually mean? Do we learn anything from these numbers? Nobody was thinking in any way this was going to fail, were they?
No, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. It was a very small electorate. Just people who lived within the downtown transportation district were allowed to vote. They had to request a ballot. It was an involved process. They had gone through this earlier in the summer and approved the taxing district. So this approved the specific taxes. And there are significant tax increases for that district. Many of the property owners who will be paying the taxes do not live in the district. They're not all that happy about it. But the city felt this was the way to go. The streetcars, they say, will dramatically improve downtown, will increase the density and the vibrancy. It should improve property values and make Kansas City more competitive with other progressive cities.
There were some hints in your story this week because some of those property owners who didn't live in the district didn't have the opportunity to vote. There may be some lawsuits coming as regards to this. Anything more on that?
We don't know specifics. Nothing's been filed yet. I do think there are people talking to lawyers and exploring whether this was a constitutional vote or whether there's a way to make a challenge. The city did go to court and got the judge's ruling authorizing the elections, so I think they feel like they're on solid legal ground. They plan to start construction next year and to have the trains running by 2015. So
we could be on these streetcars by 2015, Bill?
I think that's a little optimistic, but June 2015, one of the reasons I say that is because Kansas City has a crumbling infrastructure. And one of the things that has to be done is to deal with that down Main Street, where you've got pipes that are a century old. So if they get the design plans finalized in the spring, which is the goal, as the council, as a matter of fact, voted for the contract to get that done yesterday. But you know, again, this crumbling infrastructure has caused problems before. There's no reason to think it won't cause problems again.
I do think they plan to replace a big water main down Main Street, and that's probably a good thing because it leaks all the time anyway.
Steve.
You know, I think this is really a moment in Kansas City, the passage of this thing. This was really a sign, a very aggressive move by city leaders who sort of elbowed their way through the crowd here and shoved this idea onto the city by designating this very small electorate that they knew would probably pass this thing. And you don't see city leaders being this aggressive typically in this town. We've turned the page now on an issue that has been dogging this city for decades. How are we going to improve and expand mass transit in the community? Not only do we see it now for this coming 2 or 3 years, this short leg. But as the mayor just said, we're going to be seeing this issue now for years and years to come as attempts are made to expand this system going forward. It's a heck of a gamble. As Bill just pointed out, lots of needs in this city. We're just adding another one, a $2 million a year subsidy to keep this thing going. I think for Sly James' sake, this thing better work, and it very well may work, but it's just a very interesting moment that we've arrived at here, getting this thing to be moving forward.
Do you think it would have passed if it was put on a general election ballot, Steve?
Well, we're going to never know, Nick, but based on recent history, based on the economy right now, based on how short this first leg is, I think it's doubtful it would have passed coming out of the gate.
A lot of the complaints, Dave Helling, was, oh, this is just a 2-mile streetcar line and it just goes from Union Station to the River Market, and we really need to be creating transit options in this community that are going to take people to jobs, and we certainly heard that in the mayor's quote. There is a bigger plan that is looming, and that is the plan by the Jackson County executive, Mike Sanders, who has ideas for the upcoming year of putting on the ballot a massive commuter rail plan using existing rail tracks that would do exactly that. Right. That would have people using a 1-cent county sales tax to get people moving by Does this vote now signal that that will go on the ballot in 2013?
We don't know whether it's going on the ballot, Nick. Whether it will succeed or not is a whole other question. I disagree a little bit with Brother Kraske in terms of how this might have fared citywide. I think it would have passed citywide if the taxes had just been levied in the district. But the problem you always have with mass transit votes is you're asking the entire community to subsidize specific routes which may or may not come close to your home, and that's always a tough sell. I mean, to vote for a huge sales tax increase to provide commuter rail for something you may never use is a tough sale. That's why I think Russ Johnson and others pushed this in-district idea, because these people will benefit from it, and so you could make the argument that it will add to your property value, bring development, that kind of thing. So I know that Mike Sanders is pushing forward with his proposal. I do think federal money is going to be extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, to get. So my guess is if it does go on the ballot, it will be quite an uphill battle to see the community support.
Bill, now you've been reporting on that. He does have huge support from most of the mayors in Jackson County, hasn't he?
He does. As a matter of fact, just a couple of weeks back, they all met at Arrowhead and talked about this. And one of the things that Sanders has really beat the drum on, and the mayor has too, is intermodal. It doesn't have to get you from point A to point B, but if it can get you from point A to point B where you can take a different mode of transportation, it's going to benefit everyone.
You know, Dave just said something very interesting here, very important, and that is the federal money is gone here, both for Mike Sanders' proposal and for Sly James trying to expand this light streetcar plan going forward, Nick. That money is gone. The burden now will be on Kansas City and Kansas City alone to keep this thing going forward. The state of Missouri won't be giving us any money for this. It's Kansas City very much alone moving forward.
And let me just throw in one other thing, and maybe Lynn would like to chime in too, but $100 million for 2 miles of streetcar is enormously expensive. It just is. If you do a 20-mile streetcar system, that's $1 billion, let alone the cost to operate it. And the streetcar is going to be free, as I recall, correct?
To begin with.
To begin with.
Or just to begin with.
So operating costs are going to be somewhat of a challenge. So there are lots of questions. I know there is great optimism following this vote, but I think the weeks, months, years ahead will really tell the tale of whether this is the start of something else.
Yeah. Well, and I do think they all say that 2 miles alone is stupid. That's not the goal. The goal at least is to get out to the plaza, UMKC. Then you're really connecting people, you know, in a dense residential area, 2 jobs downtown. I think they feel like that would truly be the game changer.
Well, it's all free for right now, and I'm looking forward to being able to go from Union Station to the River Market with my Nook and doing this, so I'm looking forward to that. Last week, while KCPT was hosting its winter membership drive, an insurance marketing company was receiving $5 million in incentives to move 1 mile from Kansas City, Missouri, across the border to Leawood, Kansas, the latest in a series of business moves that has raised questions about the economic impact on both states. SelectQuote plans to consolidate its Kansas City area call center operations by moving about 150 employees from its current facility at 92nd and Ward Parkway to 89th Street and State Line Road in Leawood. Kansas Commerce Secretary Pat George said in a statement, having a respected company such as Select Quote invest in our state is a great thing for Kansas. But Kansas City Civic leader Bill Hall, president of the Hall Family Foundation, says it's just another business move that has cost the state tens of millions of dollars in lost tax revenues without helping the overall economy in either state. Now, there's also an ad campaign running currently, even from Kansas City interests alarmed by what's happening. But is any of this having any effect, Dave?
It may have some effect in Missouri. I do think that there will be a push in the next session of the legislature to try and match some of the tax incentives that Kansas has provided for some of these companies, and there is pressure, as you note, for the more broad-based, exempting LLCs from any income taxes, or to get close to matching that in Missouri. That's the law that takes effect in Kansas under Governor Brownback. But at the same time, both states, as they always do, face enormous fiscal pressures. Kansas has a huge shortfall. Missouri isn't exactly flush with cash. The idea of continuing to incent businesses to, in essence, move 50 yards down the road across an artificial barrier is meeting with increasing skepticism both, in both states, Nick, but nationally. And so there may be a pushback against any idea to provide more incentives to businesses on either side of the state line. It's quite up in the air.
But it keeps happening, and yet nothing really occurs, does it? There's no stalemate. There's no ceasefire that occurs.
No, because Kansas has upfront cash. They have deal-closing funds that Missouri doesn't have. And this is not happening on the other side of the state. Businesses are not leaving St. Louis to go to East St. Louis, and so it strictly is a regional thing. And the mayor hasn't gotten a lot of love from the legislature. Governor Brownback obviously wants to be able to beat the drum for Kansas jobs, so I don't see this issue going away anytime soon.
I don't either, because the most important word in American politics today, Nick, is jobs. And when Governor Brownback can brag that he's attracted jobs, when Governor Nixon can say he's brought jobs to Missouri, that's the currency, the most important currency in politics today. That's why this situation isn't going away.
Well, sometimes, though, it's neighboring cities that are cannibalizing each other. You can remove completely the state line. Take the case of the city of Mission, Kansas, and the city of Roland Park next door. To build its Mission Gateway project on the site of the former Mission Mall, which was supposed to include an aquarium and a hotel, neither of which are now happening, the anchor tenant of the new development is going to be, guess what, a Walmart store. But in deciding to move there, Walmart is closing its store in Roland Park, just 1 mile up the road, as the biggest source of sales tax revenue in Roland Park at $700,000 a year. The mayor of Roland Park says the city may now have to lay off the entire police department. Well, with a $1.4 million budget that it cost to have that police department, and $700,000 of it generated from that Walmart store, the biggest retailer in town, that's what the mayor of Roland Park says they may have to do. Really, Dave?
It's a huge hit. I think they're talking about using, Nick, the sheriff's department to provide law enforcement services in that community. We don't know for sure if it's going to come to this, but Roland Park has some extraordinarily difficult issues to face because of this movement.
But this has nothing to do, again, with Kansas versus Missouri.
But this has been a story in the Kansas City area for the 30 years I've worked here, and that is communities, both intra and interstate, offering the store to lure jobs and economic development, often at the expense of other communities. TIF, in some ways, creates what's called the substitution effect, which in essence incents a store to move to, say, Raytown or Kansas City, Missouri, whatever, at the expense of other retailers in other states, depressing sales tax. The competition, I remember doing a panel discussion on this very issue in 1995. So it isn't as if this is incredibly important because of the money involved relative to budgets. But this battle between cities has been going on in our community almost as long as I've been a reporter here.
But you were a high school debater at the time.
No, I was a little bit older than that.
Steve.
Well, just consider the stats that Bill Hall keeps here. In recent years, since 2009, Kansas has attracted 3,000 jobs from Missouri. Missouri has attracted 2,500 jobs from Kansas. That's a net change of $500. They've spent almost $200 million in economic incentives for that net change of 500 jobs. That's why some people call this madness going forward, Nick.
Well, it may be rearranging chairs on the Titanic, because when you look at the job growth in this region versus other regions, we're lagging behind. You know, and I think some of the business leaders are starting to realize we need to grow jobs. We need to bring new businesses in from outside or start them from scratch and not just steal from the neighboring communities.
Well, speaking of tax spats, why have plans by Mayor Sly James and top city council members then, Lynn, to turn parts of Swope Park into a state-of-the-art youth soccer complex, just like you see in Johnson County, getting so many people irate? If it's good enough for kids in Overland Park, shouldn't Kansas City kids also get top-notch youth soccer fields for tournaments? Yet plans to use TIF money for this project have incensed, get this, the Raytown School District, Jackson County Executive Mike Sanders, the Mid-Continent Public Library System, mental health advocates, even the blind. Now, how could the prospect of kids playing soccer on nice green turf be wreaking so much havoc?
Well, because it's the way that the financing is contemplated. It would involve expanding a TIF district boundary where there are surplus funds that these taxing districts feel like now they should be receiving. The Raytown School District, Jackson County, the library system, mental health services. They feel like they've waited for this money to be generated. It now should come to benefit their agencies. Soccer fields are great. Kansas City does want to compete with Johnson County. But I think these other agencies feel like their purposes are important too, that the money should be coming to them and that you should not be expanding a TIF district and redirecting the money for something that they feel like should be coming to them.
When people hear the word TIF, it gets very complicated. Who else can weigh up this story for us? What are the context of this story, Dave?
Again, this has been a battle in Kansas City for decades, and largely because Kansas City, in essence, controls the tax increment financing process, in which it sort of makes decisions on behalf of these other jurisdictions who have to sort of like it or lump it. In this case, as Lynn suggests, expanding the district makes it sort of even doubly difficult for some of the other districts to get involved. And it is an example, Nick, of what some people argue is a zero-sum game. Kansas City's gain here is Raytown's loss, is Jackson County's loss. And so ultimately, the entire region does not come out ahead. And I do think, just briefly, there will be pressure in the Missouri legislature, again in the 2013 session, to change the law so that these other jurisdictions have more of a say in how these projects are figured out.
It's partly a challenge because the soccer fields, I believe, would be in the Kansas City School District. And so Raytown's feeling like, why should our tax dollars go to benefit a different school district? You know, the Brookside Soccer Club, City Councilwoman Cindy Serco, a lot of people feel like these soccer fields would be a great asset and they benefit a lot of children. But you have different agencies competing for a small pot of money and it creates a fight.
The number here is important. The Raytown School District has $4.1 million on the line here. That's what they stand to lose if Kansas City outmuscles everybody else and opts to build this soccer complex. That can do a whole lot of good for a school district in Raytown. That's what the superintendent out there is talking about.
And the Mid-Continent Public Library System say this will fund how many books, and it could fund the entire summer reading program for them.
$200,000 worth of
yes.
books, Nick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got to wonder how much of this is probably a small percentage, but since we took this spectacular belly flop on what was supposed to be the big soccer complex at Bannister Mall, is someone in the city sort of saying, maybe this is a way we can, regain a little bit of face here, although clearly it would not generate the revenue that would have.
Why is the name of world heavyweight boxer Floyd Mayweather repeatedly in the headlines in Kansas City over the last several weeks? And why is Kansas City trying to get $15,000 from the celebrity athlete? As you can see from this footage from NBC Action News, Mayweather was supposed to attend a city-funded event where he was to speak to area kids at an anti-violence youth enrichment program. But when word got out that Mayweather had a track record of domestic violence and perhaps wasn't a good role model for kids, after all, he was uninvited. The only problem is the check has been cashed. But now the city wants its money back. So who has the money, Lynn?
Well, that's a good question. That's one thing you're
that's
trying
why
to
we do the
figure
program,
out.
and that's what we try to get answers from top people like yourself.
The money was sent to a group called Posse, which is a youth enrichment anti-gang violence program.
Here in Kansas City.
In Kansas City, it's run by a gentleman named Osco Bolton, who has done other youth enrichment programs with the city. This is all about accountability and transparency. This is not a lot of money. It's $15,000. But what happened was a city councilman, one councilman, Michael Brooks, asked Troy Schulte for this money to try to benefit Osco Bolton and Floyd Mayweather. Troy Schulte says he didn't realize that Floyd Mayweather had a domestic violence background and maybe wasn't the best role model for kids. Nobody vetted whether the event was even on the calendar at the Greg Kleiss Community Center where it was supposed to be occurring. Mayweather ended up coming to Kansas City for a different event at a hip-hop club. There's been some suspicion that the money went for that instead, even though the city says, no, that's not where it went. It's an embarrassing situation. It should have been much better vetted.
Okay, well, let me just ask you this first of all. So the boxer doesn't have the money. Let's make that clear.
We don't believe so.
Okay, this is the group. And the other question is, it's only $15,000, so it's a smaller point of money. Let's talk about that first of all. If it's only $15,000, is this a story?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Why, Dave? Because we got so many other budgets that are huge, and we've got so many other issues.
But public figure, waste of money, taxpayers involved. Of course, it's a story.
Well, and I think generally the accountants at City Hall vet things very carefully. Yes. They look at every contract over $5,000. But because this was a request by a city councilman to the city manager, it didn't get vetted as well as it should have, and the city council's embarrassed. They've got egg on their face, and they say we need some processes.
And to be clear, these are not taxpayer dollars we're talking about here. They're tourism and development dollars.
Well, but that's tax money.
It's tax money. It's maybe not from residents.
Not
it's
from residents,
tourists.
from somebody else. And there's broad acknowledgement down at City Hall that they've blown this thing, that this notion that one councilman can make a request, it be approved. There's an acknowledgement now. It needs to be a broader sense of a discernment here that's brought to these situations.
That basically anybody can just ask for money?
Well, they do all the time.
Yeah.
Troy Schulte has told me he gets requests every day for money, but not necessarily.
Just from city council members?
Well, I think when city council members ask for money, it's not usually $15,000. It's $1,000 here or $1,000 there for a table at a benefit function. This is more money than normally is requested by a single councilman.
Bill?
I was told yesterday that the check has not been cashed and that what will probably come out of this is greater oversight because, as Lynn mentioned, these requests come in all the time. $15,000, while it might not seem like a lot of money in the aggregate, we are talking about a pretty fair amount of money if there is not sufficient oversight.
I think we're talking about a time when residents and people value their tax dollars. They want to know they're well spent. They want watchdogs keeping an eye out. And so we are doing that. And I think the City Council and City Hall have learned a lot from this episode.
And finally this week, Medicaid expansion.
I've come here today to announce that the budget I plan to submit to the legislature for fiscal year 2014 will include the federal funding to provide health care for an estimated 300,000 more Missourians, men, women, and children who currently have no health insurance. It is time for us to move forward.
Missouri Governor Jay Nixon supportive of billions of dollars in federal cash to help hundreds of thousands of families in Missouri get health care, yet Missouri legislative leaders are adamant about saying no to the money. The same is true in Kansas. Now, a quick backgrounder here. The Affordable Care Act, more commonly known as Obamacare, expands Medicaid, the government's low-income health care program, to individuals and families making up to 138% of the federal poverty level. Now, under the act, the federal government would cover 100% of the costs of these newly eligible recipients for 3 years. And even after that, states would pick up no more than 10% of the costs. Almost 220,000 additional Missourians would get coverage, according to the Missouri Hospital Association, and about 130,000 more Kansans. But it's being fought in both states. Governor Brownback in Kansas is opposed. So is the Republican-controlled legislature in Missouri. Why, though, Steve Kraske?
Well, this sort of runs contrary to Republican dogma, Nick, which is that Republicans, generally speaking, tend to oppose expansions of government. There have been exceptions to that in recent years, most notably the prescription drug program that President George W. Bush put through. But this is bigger government, more money being spent from the states eventually, and a lot of Republicans aren't crazy about the idea.
And for all the talk, though, it's only going to be up to 10%. That is real money. And when you talk about that many people, in the state of Missouri I was looking at, that would be $332 million a year after those 3 years.
Advocates, of course, say that if you expand Medicaid in the state of Missouri, you will create 20,000 to 24,000 jobs annual jobs over a 10-year period, and the taxes provided by those new jobs, nurses and insurance specialists and hospital jobs, will more than cover the state's portion of the Medicaid increase. So they sort of say it's a perpetual motion machine. But there is a fundamental, as Steve points out, opposition in both legislatures to anything connected with Obamacare. Period. Full stop. End of story. Jay Nixon has an enormous hurdle to try and talk legislators who are philosophically opposed to this expansion to, in essence, put the state's name on the bottom line. It's a real uphill push. We'll see how well he does.
Well, do you think that some of these rural hospitals are going to start lobbying their legislators and saying, look, we need that money?
They are doing that. They are doing that now, and that's maybe the ace in the hole.
And that is our Week in Review. From 98.1 FM KMBZ, Bill Grady, and from the pages of The Star, Dave Helling. The Star's Steve Kraske, who you can hear weekdays at 11 o'clock on Up to Date on KCUR-FM, and tracking your every development at City Hall. From The Star, Lynn Horsley, I'm Nick Haynes. From all of us here at KCPT, happy Hanukkah, by the way. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us.